This time on In Conversation, nominate someone you know for an IT Leadership Award. But first, Rafael Ruffolo is just back from Boston and the EMC World User Conference. Rafael, what stood out there?
Well, one thing that did stand out is the fact that you could not avoid EMC branding coming off the plane. Every single cab in Boston seemed to have had the Journey to the Private Cloud branding, which was what the show was basically titled this year. And, EMC definitely stuck to their guns. This was a completely private cloud focused show. They want to tell customers that the vision for IT in the future is you're going to have data centers across the world and they're going to be connected in this private cloud idea, and you're also going to have elements of the public cloud as well. But the CEO, Joe Tucci, he definitely downplayed Amazon and Google and their role in the future of enterprise IT. The focus was you're still going to have most of your stuff on premise, but it's going to be a private cloud. And we can argue, and Larry Ellison is a classic example of a big executive who doesn't even believe in the word cloud. He says this is old news.
Well, I think we said like in our wrap up at the end of the year last year, private cloud, isn't that data center?
Yeah, exactly, and that's really what it is. But as much as I agree with Ellison in that respect, I still think that we're stuck with cloud now. So EMC is doing a good job of making this show really focused on that and really selling it to their customers. Their big announcements was the vPlex storage system. And that's basically taking the idea of server virtualization, even elements of VM motion, which is the idea of moving your virtual machines around based on demand, so everything is at peak performance, but translating that to storage. And it was a really exciting announcement. They also brought out some stuff with the data domain acquisition and for a boost of performance for dedupe capabilities there. So it was really smart strategy, I think, on their part to focus it on the private cloud. And we're stuck with the name, but and it was a little bit goofy seeing all these cloud logos everywhere, and they had like a mascot almost, and her name was Private Cloud, kind of a play off of a military type of person. But
That's painful.
Well, as much as it is, I still like the idea that they were so focused.
Yeah. One of the things that came up in one of your stories I found interesting was the distinction between storage virtualization and virtualized storage.
Yeah, that was a great quote from one of the executives there that they hammered home, and really, it really underscores the fact that they're looking at this differently than any other vendors. They're primarily, I would say, a storage vendor, and with that behind them and all the acquisitions that they've made there, it's really a company that you almost trust to be able to handle everything you need to build up this private cloud infrastructure.
Speaking of acquisitions, with EMC's acquisition of Documentum, Documentum's Momentum show is now rolled into EMC World.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was just walking by and I saw a sign, Momentum, so I just walked in and it was like an hour keynote. I'm not sure if they had any other events for the show, but the keynote was interesting. They brought out a product called Source One for Microsoft SharePoint. And it's basically like a compliance and e-discovery tool for SharePoint to make sure you have everything's on tap on what you have for SharePoint instances. And one of the great stories that one of the EMC executives from, I guess it used to be from Documentum, brought out was he was talking with a CIO and I guess the CIO's assistant at a meeting, and he asked the CIO, how much SharePoint do you have? And the CIO said, "Oh, we have no SharePoint in our organization." And then the assistant, I guess, nudged him on the shoulder and said, "Oh, actually, we have a little bit of SharePoint." And then he was all shocked. And how much is a little bit? About 4,000 instances SharePoint. Basically, the point that the EMC guy was trying to make was that stuff like SharePoint has become viral in some organizations, and you need to keep tabs on it. And sometimes you won't even know that you have so much, and you definitely can't. You don't want to hinder technologies that go viral. You want to support them. And to do that, you need to keep tabs on what you have, and this is how he tried to sell this product, and it was a good pitch because I remember the story, right?
Yeah, well, I've heard lots of stories of SharePoint proliferating without IT necessarily being aware of it.
Well, it's not just SharePoint. There's lots of I mean, there's some companies that don't have Twitter policies yet, don't have Facebook policies yet, but their employees are out there using it. So you need to keep tabs on what you're doing.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Rafael.
No problem.
In celebration of ComputerWorld Canada's 25th anniversary, we're launching our first annual IT Leadership Awards, and you can nominate a colleague in one of 7 categories on our website, itleadershipawards.com. Our panel of distinguished judges is led by ICTC's Paul Swinwood.
ICTC is very supportive of the ComputerWorld Canada Leadership Awards. We have identified the need for 170,000 new IT workers in Canada over the next 5 years. The leadership to attract these people, to train them, and to retain them will be imperative if we're to be successful in the global ICT marketplace. The opportunity to bring the players in Canada, ITAC, CADAWIT, CIO Association of Canada, KIPS, ICTC, and IT World Canada under one umbrella to recognize excellence in leadership is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to move our sector forward.
For more information on ComputerWorld Canada's IT Leadership Awards, visit the website at itleadershipawards.com.